My father asked me to come live with him, come back for a year in Alaska and spend a year together, and I said no, and 2 weeks later is when he killed himself. And so I did feel really guilty afterward, and I wondered if I had said yes, if my father would still be alive. Sukkwan Island really is the boy saying yes and going and spending that time with him. And what I think is wonderful about that is that fiction is very redemptive. It's a chance to go back and redo something. I think that writing and therapy are both about truth, but I think that only writing is about the beautiful, and I think that books have to be about far more than therapy because of that. And so I hope that my book is not just therapy, but it of course was incredibly therapeutic for me to spend 10 years trying to understand my father, and Sukkwan Island came at the end of that. I wrote about my father for 10 years, and I had to throw away everything from the first 3 or 4 years that I wrote because there was too much emotion on the first page. And so I'd write about the day we found out he died, and everyone's running around crying, and it's not something anyone can read. I mean, that'd be unfair to do to a reader. Writing has to transform the experience and become something different in order to be readable. It was a long process of figuring out how to write about him, and Sukkwan Island came at the end of that, and I actually wrote it really quickly. I wrote half of the book in 17 days while I was sailing from California to Hawaii with my computers velcroed onto my knees and going back and forth in the waves. And it was this kind of dream, and I felt all these things that I think had built up over those 10 years. Alaska really is the third character in the story, and I view it actually maybe as the main character, that Alaska might be first, because it's really mythic from my childhood. Alaska is, I think wilderness is in a giant mirror, and that everything that's happening inside the characters happens out there in the landscape. I mean, I love Cormac McCarthy, especially Blood Meridian, because he works through the landscape. He doesn't give you any thoughts or feelings of the characters. It's all the landscape that tells you those.